All right, guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Battlefield. This time it's episode 9. We're calling this one Spring Cleaning because the spring patch just came out and we have a lot to talk about. So, let's do introductions first. Today, I have with me Izzy.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Izzy. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/IzzyGoneCrazy.
I've also got Mambo B.
Mambo B, welcome back for episode 9. You can follow me and check me out on my channel, twitch.tv/Mambo_B.
And I have Flakfire.
Hey everyone, it's Flakfire. YouTube.com/FlakfireGaming.
Awesome. And I'm your host, Echo Limits. You can always find me at twitch.tv/Echo Limits, streaming the Battlefields. All right, we have a great show for you guys today with 4 different topics each of us selected to discuss. Ranging from just things about Battlefield or things that are specific to the new changes that just occurred. So let me run down the topics for you guys and tell you guys how the podcast works in case you're one of the people who just started watching. So the first topic is going to be by Flak, and the topic is what improvements should DICE make to the netcode in BF1? Followed by Izzy's topic, which is what is the idea for a new game mode? And Mambo's topic is going to be next, is what changes should DICE make to tanks? And final topic of this episode will be mine. And I selected to talk about how can DICE better inform the players of any future changes. And as you guys already know, the last topic of the podcast is followed by a chat session. That's a direct opportunity for you guys watching to take part in an ownership of the conversation. You might have questions while we have these discussions, and we'll address them. And you may have separate topics, and I encourage you guys to write them down somewhere or keep them in mind. So when we do an open chat forum, since we record these episodes live, you get an opportunity to actually give us feedback and give us some questions and topics to discuss. So let's see, is there anything else I need to throw in there? Of course, if you're listening to this and it's not live, we encourage you to send questions in. We did get some question via email. The email is the Let's Talk Podcast @gmail.com. All in one word, Let's Talk Podcast @gmail.com. Yeah, so let's go straight to the first topic. And Flak, hit it off, man.
Okay, well, so as most of you guys know, we got the spring update here recently, and one of the changes that we had in the spring update was a bit of a different way of handling things in regards to, the netcode. So DICE basically came out and said, okay, we're going to institute kind of this cap here. We'll say 100 milliseconds latency, and then you need to start leading your shots essentially, because you're putting other people at a disadvantage, right? Because you can't where you are in game is different to what somebody else is seeing. Basically, is the issue there. And so DICE came out and said, okay, we're going to cap this at 100 milliseconds, and and we'll see how that goes. And this was a big topic of discussion among basically everybody on the internet. Reddit basically exploded with people saying, oh, I can't hit anything anymore, my connection is terrible, all this other kind of stuff. And I don't really want to get into the issues of, well, was their connection actually terrible? Like, what was their ping? Are they playing on servers in their region? All this other kind of stuff. I actually wanted to kind of approach it from a direction of, people have been talking about Battlefield is too casual. And one of the reasons I was a big fan of them capping that kind of latency compensation at 100 ping was that it made the game, for me anyway, a lot smoother, a lot easier to play. I was able to land shots a lot quicker. I don't know if you guys have the same issue as me, but I live smack dab in the middle of the United States, so I don't really get the benefit of playing in servers directly in my backyard. Like if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast,
So
there's no NA Central
since they released that people can now see their ping numbers, what is your ping
Yes, they
generally?
can. Generally, if I'm playing on NA East or West, it's around 40,
That's
which is pretty good. But at the same point, you know, it's not as good as if I was on the coast, right? So for me, anyway, I thought it was wonderful being in this middle of nowhere in the central United States. Sometimes it often feels like when I'm playing Battlefield, or you know, even one of the reasons I stopped playing Call of Duty was that it would be like the first 10 rounds out of my gun was shooting marshmallows, and there's nothing I could do about it. And since the update, it was fantastic. Like, I actually felt like my gun was doing things, and it was great. And that was my experience with it. And I know a lot of other people had problems. You know, I've seen some of the videos that, you know, really were kind of inexcusable, where somebody's trying to go and shoot somebody and just there's no hit marker registration whatsoever. There's no reason for that not happening. But to get back on track, talking about how people were saying Battlefield is too casual. And one of the reasons 100 millisecond cap on that I thought was good was because it makes it more competitive. You know, you can't have a game that is competitive when the first 10 rounds out of your gun are marshmallows. So I was curious what your guys' experience was, and what you think instituting something like a cap means for Battlefield being more competitive. You know, and since we had the update, they rolled it to 150, which is fine by me. You know, I think that's great because people should be able to play with other people from other regions. I know a lot of us have friends over in Europe that we like to play with. But at the same point, putting a cap on it, you think that's good for the netcode, and just kind of roll with it from there.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. I wish they had done this years ago with other Battlefield games. I think Battlefield 4 could have benefited from some kind of ping cap greatly. My own ping usually hovers around at 20 right now in Battlefield 1. It's amazing. I don't think my hit detection has ever felt as good. And you're right. It definitely has implications for competitive, because if you're playing against people and their ping is ridiculous and you're shooting them and it's not registering, then the game could never be called competitive. So personally, I think it's a great change. I think it encourages people to somewhat stay in their own region servers if they can. That's also good. I think it helps the overall experience of the game. At least for me, it's been very positive. Hopefully next they'll give us higher hertz servers on console. I think that's the next step there to make it more competitive. I would love to see that.
They did give us 60 with the patch, right? For small game modes.
Small game modes, yes.
Yes, but I would love to see like 100 plus. Right? That is true. Battlefield 4 capped at 40 hertz servers.
Yeah.
And
console.
it's Izzy is kind of hitting it right on the head here, but what was I going to say? My brain isn't working. I'm really tired.
Nah, it's cool.
The thing that I wanted to kind of expand upon, Izzy, what?
Well,
Come back to me.
I mean,
My brain is
I get
tired.
what you're saying, and what's interesting is like, how are you getting all like 20? I'm with Flak. I'm on the East Coast, right next to you know, a major city, NYC, you know, New York City, and I'm getting 40. Maybe it's my internet provider. I don't know.
I'm running really fast internet and I'm hardwired in.
That's well, I'm hardwired too. You should really, if you're playing on like a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Also,
I know
open
a
your
lot of
ports
people want to
as
do
well.
wireless, but now
If you play on console, open your ports for either Xbox or PlayStation on your router. That helps my ping. I was getting 40 and I dropped down to 20 when I opened the ports for PlayStation. It helped dramatically.
Wow. It's interesting. If you look in the chat here, X Felix is talking about, you know, I got downvoted on Reddit for saying play in your own region. Like,
yeah,
it's something I get that you want to play with other people from around the world, but when you do that, you know, if I go and play on a European server, I have no expectation of a fantastic connection because it's not realistic.
Yeah.
Like even before, it's not realistic to play with a ping over 100, over 150, and expect there to be no consequences of doing that. And that's not a DICE problem. That's a I don't know, a world internet
it's just
problem.
a limitation on just, you know, what we can physically do right now with our connections. overseas and whatnot. You know, I'm a Twitch streamer, and I get a unique sense that I get so many people from across the world who want to join in and play while I stream. And what was interesting is I took out when this thing came out, and I agree with you, Battlefield hit detection's never been better. I mean, like, whoa, feels great, right? But then I was like, well, let me go into an Australian server and see what the crazy, like, missing bullets thing is. And there were instances where my ping was about 500 or so, or whatever, 600, 700s, you know, and I was shooting directly at people, no bullets registered at all. 0. Now, do you guys, I mean, like, that's the thing. It's making it more competitive. It's balancing it out, but it's taking away from the game that people can't really enjoy playing across the world together anymore.
Yeah, and something I've seen a number of people on Reddit saying, you know, give us the option for private servers to set a ping cap. You know,
I think that would be a good way to do that.
Nice.
Because then you can make a community server with your friends that are overseas, and you can all play together. Especially if they have bad internet, that would work. That would work out really well. But I think overall for the game, while some people might have issues with it if they have terrible internet or they live in a country that doesn't have dedicated servers, I understand their complaints. But I think for the community as a whole, it was definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys. I think it's a good thing. But it's nice that you mentioned that, Izzy, because there are countries where people would love to play Battlefield, but just because they don't have dedicated servers close to them, they're adversely affected. Like, I believe South Africa has
Nope, they have servers now.
They have servers now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that was recent, right?
It was recent, within the last few months.
Yeah, and just, you know, think about a few months back, maybe there's another area in the world that they want to play Battlefield, but now they can't. You know, and when you pose this question, I thought about all the things like, why did we even have the netcode readjustment? And I know that getting killed behind a wall sucks. Like, you duck down and you clearly on your screen, you're in cover, and on his screen, he was still able to shoot you, and then the momentum and the lag between the information still kills you. And that's the bad feeling that they try to mitigate, lowering this cap, right? Because a high ping player would shoot you and you'd be in cover, and then the bullets would add up late, right?
Well, they also minimize lag compensation as well, which factored into that a lot. The whole dying behind cover and stuff. And like Battlefield 4 had like tons of lag compensation, which is why you would experience that constantly.
Yeah. And on that note too, part of those changes, I think that were good, and people can disagree with me on that, and that's fine. Kill trades. I love it. You know, it is something because, you know, I would even take kill trades without repairs to the netcode, because there's something really satisfying about, you know, and people can get upset about and everything, but it's like, when I'm playing the game, I'm watching it. It's like, I know I shot that guy and he should have died, you know. And prior to the patches, the spring update change, you know, you were just like, oh, there we go again. Like, there he goes running off at, you know, 10 health or something, when your last couple bullets didn't register because, you know, there was lag compensation involved and you got the short end of the stick. I think it's great, and that's just my experience.
Yeah. See, the update came out, and for some of you guys didn't know that they introduced kill trades. So reintroduced. I mean, the game's had it for years back in the day, but people complained. So then they had this thing where if you die, your bullets were deleted, kind of.
Yeah, they vanished magically.
Right, but now your bullets aren't deleted, and I don't know. I was expecting tons of kill trades and a very bad experience, but I've never gotten a bad experience. Have you guys got that? Like, every time I kill trade, I'm like, all right, you know, that probably would have happened.
I look at him like, he got me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm totally fine with it. You know, and it's something that people get upset about because they feel like, oh, they only got killed because of the lag compensation or whatever. People are really fascinating when you look at it, where they get so upset about something in particular, and it's like, you know, like you've also benefited from kill trades too.
Yeah.
You know, like you also are receiving kill trades out of this patch. It's not a one-way street. Just really, really interesting.
But you see, like, on the topic of kill trades, I kind of thought about it, and I wrote down some ideas about this whole netcode. I know that the kill trades thing happened because people didn't like the fact that they were sniping. I imagine two snipers really far away from each other. They shoot at each other at the same time, and the person who got one guy, you know, the other guy would die because his bullet, because it trailed slower or he was a smidget slower, it would get deleted even though he lined up a headshot beautiful, you know. I've been on that end where I've looked at another guy, shot him for a headshot, but his bullet killed me first, and I'm like, but wait, I got a headshot on him, and I didn't understand that my bullet got deleted. So that's where the whole kill trade, I think, makes complete sense. When you start getting really up close and you start playing with the ping, the kill trade could even feel really bad. I've seen an instance where I ran up to a guy and I killed him, and he had the number 3 pistol. You know, it takes 2 shots to kill someone. So he landed the first, and the second one he landed as he died. But it literally took like a second, maybe second and a half, for that second shot to add up and actually kill me. And I was like, what? That was a kill trade? You know, that's when you start feeling bad about kill trades too. When some time happens because the person was playing with a higher than normal ping, you know?
And so I think I haven't had that yet.
Yeah, but you know, I think they need to refine a little bit. Like, what if they set it up that kill trades with 50 or lower ping, awesome. And maybe they should put a cap on kill trades. Like, if your ping is above that 150, you know, not even the leading the thing. Maybe if your ping is 250, that your bullet wouldn't matter in that point. Because I think that would be such a delayed reaction to the person who got killed that it would be like a bad feeling, you know?
I think that's a good idea. I don't know. I just look at the netcode changes in general as a good thing. And
I do feel that my 2 cents on it is I feel EA, DICE have the luxury of having the Frostbite engine. Which from my experience gaming, other kinds of games that run on different game engines and how they're designed and their netcodes, I feel like EA has a gold mine with the Frostbite engine, meaning the ability for server-side hit detection. A lot of other games that we play, at least on the console level, don't have server-side hit detection. They say they do, but we know reality, it's client-side, mix, hybrid, whatever you want to call it, that they're trying to name it these days. You can tell the difference as a gamer. I'm sure you can, Echo, you can, Flak. When you're playing on a Battlefield game and you get hit detection, and then you go play on a Rainbow Six server and you get hit detection, night and day difference. Battlefield's hit detection, by far, so much better. But does that mean that their ideas on the game are better? Not necessarily, but I think netcode-wise, I didn't have a problem really. I didn't notice a problem before patch. After patch, I am noticing the kill trades. I'm noticing some of my hits get blown out of the water. It's kind of like, wait a minute, I thought I was on that guy. Is his ping so high that it's not giving me the hits? Does it work both ways?
No,
I don't know.
It only works one way. It's a detrimental thing for somebody with a lot of ping. That's when their bullets, you need to lead. It's such a weird experience, especially if you use aim assist. Aim assist on console is probably 98% of the people who use it, right? I don't know. I'm throwing a guess out there, but I feel like majority does. And it's weird because I was playing in Australia server, and aim assist helps you zone in on the target, but because it has such high ping, I should have been leading him by quite a lot, right? But I was fighting the aim assist, which was telling me to play here, and I was supposed to shoot here in order to get hits, you know? So it is a real confusion there too. Like, leading your target with aim assist, that doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, you know, the other thing I thought about when it comes to netcode is, did you guys ever get this where you kill someone and they still threw a grenade?
Yes.
Constantly.
Can that be addressed in netcode somehow?
It's been like that since Battlefield 3. It's been there forever.
It can be, though. You know, because we've been hearing things from devs, and they were talking about it, and you know, having that grenade disappear after death, or you know, whatever. It's something maybe they'll look at in the future.
But I think that'd be worthwhile to look into it, because I've noticed
I
that
think
as
it is
you die,
really
you can throw
hokey.
one.
Yeah, it's really hokey, and prior to the most recent patch, it was something. I mean, I was doing it all the time. Like, I'm not afraid to say that at all. But
like it's Call of Duty, right? Like martyrdom, just
yes, exactly. I was doing it with gas grenades of all things. But um, that's something that I would say post patch, if it's not on their list, to address it would be a good thing, because I've had things where somebody was like dead and like the grenade flew out of their body. It was the most hilarious thing I'd ever seen.
Have you had it where you kill someone and they had thrown a grenade, but it counts as yours, and then you get kills for their grenade?
Yeah.
That's happened to me a few times.
That hasn't happened. That's interesting.
I was like,
that
I didn't
used to
throw
happen
that
in
grenade.
old Battlefields.
It happened to
BF4.
Battlefield 1. It happened to me the other day. After
It happened in Battlefield 4 a lot. You could shoot somebody that had a grenade in their hand, but then because they dropped it, you get the kill. Yeah.
But I've never seen that in BF1 though.
It just happens.
Because grenades, I guess, were also deleted when you died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
But now you're getting kills. Yeah, I dropped
and now you
a
kill
tank
trading.
grenade. I dropped a tank grenade after getting killed the other day, and there was a bunch of our own friendly landmines around. It killed us. It killed our friendly tank. That guy was laughing. Like, dude, I just killed like 6 guys because I dropped a tank grenade next to landmines, and it blew up the tank that was next to me. I was like, wow.
Man.
That guy's
So I guess this new improvements like introduce like all these weird things that can happen, like killing friendlies in a environment where you can't kill friendlies, right? Like in regular modes, you can't kill friendly. It's only in hardcore, right?
Yeah. Well, it's because it's counting your grenade as the guy who killed you.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Flak, should we move on to the next part?
Yes.
All right. I'm sure there's a lot to talk about in Netcode, but in general, there's some good improvements, and I think most of us feel like the 40 has improved our experience. If you're playing outside a region, it just encourages you more to stay within your own region. But you know,
one thing on that to bring up, and I don't want to talk about it at length or anything, just a recognize. Just that we recognize that, you know, Benson here in the chat is talking about how it's really difficult for him to play on Australian servers because there aren't very many people on there apparently, and going to a different server makes it difficult. I guess a side effect of the netcode changes is that it does kind of break up the community a little bit. And I'm sure DICE is aware of that. So
Yep.
I don't know. It's just something to say, okay, you know, like I'm talking about how the netcode changes are real great and everything, but need to admit that, yeah, some people, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't benefit them.
it's true. You know, you can't always please everyone, and it is an interesting thing. Let's move on to Izzy's topic. Izzy, what is your idea for a new game mode? Hit us with it.
All right, so I wanted to talk about our ideas for new game modes they could add to Battlefield 1 in the future. My idea, I think I've mentioned it a few times, but I would love for them to add some kind of Battle Royale mode to Battlefield 1. For an example, you could spawn onto one of the larger maps, have 64 or 32 players, every man for themselves, random weapons scattered across the map, no vehicles, last man standing wins. You start off with your knife, you have to go find weapons and just battle it out. Last guy wins the match. I thought that would be just something really fun to do in Battlefield 1. I know it's not the most original idea ever, but I think it would work so well on some of the bigger Battlefield 1 maps. I think it could be pretty awesome.
As long as the chicken dinner is a battle pack, then that's okay. That's all I
Hey,
can
that'd
say.
be an awesome reward. But I've been talking about that for years, since Battlefield 3. It's like, why don't they do a King of the Kill or Battle Royale mode? And
Yeah, everybody in the chat is like, so PUBG? And it's like, yeah, that would be kind of fun to do something like that. I think that's a
Or close
great
quarters
little
Rainbow
idea.
Six, you know, extract a hostage or something like that. Set
You
the
know,
bomb.
when you kind of posted it, I really thought about just, you know, different stuff, and I really want some player versus everyone game modes. Battlefield's never had that, and I don't know if there's a limitation of the way they designed just the back end for Battlefield, but even when someone mentioned Gunmaster, let's see, almighty Ben, yeah, you mentioned Gunmaster, and I loved it, but why do we have teams? You know, can we get an actual Gunmaster where it's free for all, one player? You know, you cycle through the weapons and you shoot everyone you see. You know, so you don't have to depend on your own teammates not giving up kills and stuff. I just don't understand. I really would like that game mode in Battlefield, and I kind of don't understand why they don't do non-team modes. So if you made what Izzy was talking about, a battle royale style, you would also have to make that not team-based. But I'm afraid that DICE has like built the game.
It would be like Scavenger from Battlefield 3, except without teams.
Squad-based.
I mean, they essentially already had like a battle royale mode as Scavenger, except you had teams and respawns. So remove the teams and the respawns, and you have it. They could even call it Scavenger. Just tweak it a little bit. That would work too.
And put it as squads versus squads, like 4v4s or whatever.
No, like solo, one person, not squads. Like a single person versus everybody else.
Yeah. That's my thing. I would like to see game modes like that, because it might be fun to just pop in, and these would be like not so much the like hardcore modes. It'd just be like fun things, like, oh, I want to mess around today in Battlefield, you know? Exactly.
We don't have any of that. We have no party modes. We have no like, let's go goof around and have fun kind of modes in Battlefield 1. And they also don't have like the super try-hard competitive modes either. So they're like in this weird in-between state where it's not super competitive, but they don't have like party fun modes either. They're in that in-between spot, and some variation there I think would be nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. How about a cavalry master? Everybody on horse, one for all.
That would be great from my point of view, because then everybody who likes playing cavalry could go in there and I would never see them. that for me, I hate getting killed by the cavalry all the time. But that is an interesting idea, you know, especially if maybe we get lances in the next DLC. That would be really awesome to have like 16 players on each side rushing at each other with lances on horseback. Like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Personally, I really want to see. I'm really hoping for when Turning Tides comes out that, you know, and this is a topic in itself, but we haven't seen any air superiority stuff, and there were whispers of that early on.
Cavalry superiority.
And it's still not here. I would really like to see something like naval superiority added with Turning Tides. I don't know how plausible that is.
I don't think the boat gameplay is fun enough to.
Would it be fun though? Like, would people actually want to play that?
The torpedo boat thing is pretty lame.
Well, and the torpedo boats really have nothing to shoot at except for the dreadnought, and that only appears in, you know, when a behemoth shows up. I'm just thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, this would be really cool because they're adding destroyers and maybe submarines. But what if you throw torpedo boats in there and then you throw in maybe each side has a dreadnought? I don't know. But
would it be fun long term? Just think about it this way, though. What happens when the noob pilots the ship? I mean, what's gonna happen? Everyone's gonna rage quit because the noob is running out of bounds, killing everybody. I mean,
did they attach those torpedoes to planes back in World War One?
Yes, they did.
They did.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
That's
you know, I know we're done with the whole netcode topic, but I wanted to just throw it out there because, you know, like cavalry superiority. Whenever you get slashed with the sword by cavalry, it feels terrible. Like, the netcode is in the future. The guy, I see the guy like 5 feet away from me still. I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'm gonna duck. But on his screen, he already slashed me and I'm dead, you know? I don't know. That's one of the apparent reasons where netcode is an issue. Cavalry and the sword, you know?
This is true.
Just throwing it out there. You know what? I mean, we talked about squad TDM, but I put on a game mode where it would be interesting to do like more stuff as a squad. Like, what if you did like players, you know, battle royale, but you did it squad, you know? And everybody spawns in with the whole knife only, and there's limited ammo on the field, and you can't, you know, do the gadgets and resupply, whatever. So you have to really work together. I don't know, meet up at some sort of part of the map, and it'd be kind of interesting. I don't know, like, if they're not going to go the route of one player versus all, like a free-for-all, maybe they should bring back more game modes that are squad-based.
Right.
I wouldn't mind that either. Maybe some some 5v5 competitive modes might be nice too. I miss Squad Rush a lot, and Squad Obliteration. Those are two of my favorites.
Oh yeah, squad obliteration was like squad v squad, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. 5v5.
Yeah, they had some good stuff. They had squad rush, squad obliteration. They had squad TDM, right?
Yeah,
And there was
or
always
squad
like a tank in
deathmatch.
the middle, and it was always like, ooh, who's gonna go for that tank? You know, it made things interesting. But my thing is like even when you guys remember back in Hardline had like a couple of different ones, like escort this player who had a pistol and all these different things. Is the problem is those game modes die very fast on Battlefield games.
It
And
splits the player base.
I don't think it's the play, but I think it may just be the interest. Because
Well,
if you have a competitive mode, but you don't have competitive ranking, what's the point of playing competitive
that
mode?
too. Well, the problem with Hardline was competitive for Battlefield has never been the biggest, and that game's player base died very fast. So then it was like the double whammy of not a lot of people were playing competitive, and then no one was playing Hardline on top of it. So those modes
Right.
just
Well,
didn't have
then
players.
let's take Battlefield 4's Defuse. Not a lot of people play that.
That just
and that
wasn't
was
made
a-
very well. It was
Yeah.
not made very well.
Do you remember the days where Defuse was a thing, and then the UCAV could spawn immediately, so you could just shoot the UCAV and then kill everyone on the other side? Oh man, yeah, I know they just did not put good enough restrictions into it. But I think the biggest kicker is if they're going to create competitive game modes and they're not going to like have the forward thinking of creating a ranking system where you can be, I don't know, a diamond if we compare it to like R6. If you're going to release these game modes with no way to rank up, then I don't think the interest will be there to play them.
Yeah, maybe like what you mean, like create like a separate ranking system for ranked. They
Yeah.
did it in Hardline actually, but
They
the problem
did?
again was they created a whole separate rank system for competitive play, but no one played it because by that they released it towards the very end of the game, and they had no one left playing. I thought it
Oh.
was a great move. I really wish it had been there at the beginning of the game. It could have done a
Yeah.
lot for it.
They got their
and-
base game modes. I think it splits up the player base. If you introduce new game modes with your dying player base, you're just splitting your player base more, like Premium does. It puts the maps behind a paywall. We've talked about it before. And then you're reducing your player count with new game modes. I've tried to get in operations since the patch, and it's like, whoa, I'm sitting there forever unless it's on a weekend, to get into an operations game. And that's my opinion, one of the better game modes of Battlefield 1 right now.
That's
Yeah.
why I think game mode should just be released for free and not attached to DLC, because then you're right, it does split up the player base. So finding
There's
DLC
issues,
modes
yeah.
months after release, you can't find them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've seen a lot of people, pop in the chat right now too, talking about, they can't get operation matches going sometimes. I totally agree with you guys, and that goes back to what we were saying in previous episodes of the podcast. Is we definitely need to have that server browser operations. That needs to happen, sometime in the next update or whatever, because it's affecting that game mode. And like Mambo said, it's one of the best game modes Battlefield 1 has to offer. So I think, Izzy, do we have more, or we want to move on to the next topic?
I don't know, unless you guys had any more ideas. I said what I wanted to say.
We
Okay,
can
cool.
always chat. If you guys are keeping up with the conversation, you can always revisit the topic if you have some sort of thing that's been said and we haven't directly addressed it while we had the conversation here. So leave that towards the end of the podcast after all our segments, and we'll have that chat segment at the end. So prep your questions. Just a reminder. Mambo, next topic is chosen by you. It is what changes should DICE make to tanks? So take it away, buddy.
Yeah, the reason I feel like this needs to be addressed is a lot of people were saying that they were dying from the fighter plane with the Trench Hunter package, and I didn't find that I died to that as much as I do to tanks. So what do you guys in the chat feel? Do you feel that the tanks are right where they need to be? Do you feel they need a nerf? Do they need a buff? Could they change the tanks? Could they make the driver less effective and the supporting cast in the tanks more, supportive? Like their machine guns do more damage to other vehicles or other infantry? What do you guys feel? Flak, what do you think?
I'm actually kind of a fan of, I don't know if you guys have seen the most recent patch notes for the CTE. one of the things that they changed on there, and I thought this was a good thing because I've played some games where people sit in that FT-17 flanker tank. I believe it's the flanker tank with that heavy machine gun on it.
Yeah.
And they just, I look at the score and they're going like 100-0, you know, that kind of stuff. That tank is a pain in the butt to play against. And I liked what they did in the patch, which what they did was they increased the direct damage of that machine gun. So the splash damage, I believe, has either remained the same or gone down, but they increased the direct damage of the machine gun, but increased the load time. And I looked at that, I said, that's a really good change, because that means if they want to use that against infantry, which really I believe it's more or less supposed to be intended for anti-vehicle kind of work, if they want to use it against infantry, then you know there's a little bit of a higher skill level that needs to be there. If you're good with it and you hit people directly, you're not going to have any problems. But that delay on the reload, I think, is a good way to balance that. But honestly, I don't have a very big issue with a lot of the tanks right now. You know, and Mambo, I know you're not thrilled about the changes with the AA here. And that same patch on the CTE there, they made it so that the emplacements or the stationary weapons are indestructible. They can be disabled and then they need to be repaired, but they are technically indestructible. And I think that's gonna. I think if they put that in vanilla Battlefield 1, they need to roll back some of the changes that they made to buffing the AA, because at that point it's a little bit overkill. But going back to tanks, I really don't have any kinds of beef with anything. Lately, I haven't thought that things have been OP, and you know I play as assault most of the time, and you know if there's a good tanker out there, they get me. You know they'll kill me. You know, but if there's an opportunity or something like that, I'm still able to take that and to take the initiative and to take that tank out.
Right.
So I feel like they're balanced pretty decently right now. I really don't see a lot, at least on Xbox, where people are just completely unstoppable in the tanks.
You know, I mean, I want to chime in, and my boy Juki reminds us what an issue is with Battlefield. I don't personally have an issue with aim assist. I think it helps some people compete. Let's face it, there are a lot of newbies or inexperienced players, but I do have an issue with giving aim assist to tanks, man. I have an issue with that.
Why?
They need to take that away from tanks.
Please, no vehicle aim assist.
Right here, man. 2 hands right here, guys.
Yeah.
Chat, give me 2 hands. Because Battlefield 4, correct me if I'm wrong, did not have aim assist for tanks.
It didn't.
And we still had amazing players who can play the tanks, shoot jets out the sky. There's plenty of footage on YouTube from consoles. I'm talking from the console perspective. All of us play on consoles. So this has like been a focus of this podcast since we began. I don't see a reason why there should be aim assist. In fact, the aim assist on the tanks actually gets in my way all the time when I aim.
Yeah, it does. I
lose my target constantly.
Go ahead. Can you turn it off? Can you turn it off?
No.
No. That's what I would say. You can't turn it off. Like I was looking in the options. There's no way to turn it off because I play without aim assist because I think it hurts me more than it helps.
Yeah. For me,
somebody came in today. Do you play with aim assist? I was like, do you think aim assist helps you, or does you think it hurts you? Without a doubt, I think from using aim assist, I've died just as much using aim assist than I have used it getting kills.
I think they should remove aim assist entirely.
Yeah, somebody mentioned earlier it helps snipers out. Okay, if you're stationary, not moving, I could see that helping snipers. But aim assist with run and guns playstyle is not good.
It's the snap aim that needs to be taken out. I don't mind like auto slowdown on console. Like when you pan over them, if it slows down slightly, that's okay. But the whole like snapping onto a target needs to go.
Yeah. Right. So I use auto slowdown thing, and that's what, since I use it on my gun character because it helps you kind of maintain target. Because I don't, using a controller is very difficult. Fine movement is very limited, whereas a mouse would be much more accurate with fine refinements. So the only thing is in tanks, it messes me up constantly. I would love for them to just easily put in an option that turns it off. But I would also be on the same side, like Izzy says, just remove it altogether. There's no need. A tank that needs so much to destroy, then, it gets that. Now, in the recent patch, I don't think it was this patch, in patch before it, there was a version where K bullets dealt damage in very long range to tanks, and that's been removed. I would argue bring that back. Why did they make K bullets outside of 150 meters, correct me if I'm wrong, not deal any damage to tanks? Tanks are so OP, they're so used to sitting on a hill, just sniping you with things, and then they have the auto repair where they can rep. The best thing was with the snipers, you see him up there, maybe at least annoy him so he can't repair when you see your team is actually pushing on him. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would like to see them return that.
A lot of people argue, a lot of people argue that Battlefield 1's too casual compared to the previous Battlefields. This is one example of tanks being that casual way that somebody with less skill than, say, Echo Limits on Twitch could be competitive against him. Let me just get in a freaking artillery truck, sit up on a hill, and I'll see him run into a building and I'll blow him up. That it's just not competitive. So I think, like Echo says, making that K bullet do damage at range that stops some of that repair. That's things like that are going to help get rid of that argument that people say Battlefield's not competitive. You were going to say something, Flak?
I 100% agree with that, because that was something, it's like, especially if you have a team working to destroy a tank, like, you need to have somebody with K bullets who can interrupt that repair cycle, while your other teammates are working on trying to do that. And beyond 150 meters, I just think that's a silly change. But I wanted to go back to Nemesis.
Right? Okay, how K bullets dealt 8 damage or whatever to a tank? I think
it's nothing. The benefit is in that you interrupt the repair cycle.
Right. But I think what they should do is bring back that it damages it, but maybe reduce the damage. Sure, maybe it'll do 4.
Yeah.
It's just there to stop them from repairing, because a sniper's usually out on a vantage point. Give the sniper a tool that it can actually help his squad that's rushing the tank. Let him at least hit him so it doesn't rep again.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, man. I feel real passionate about this because
that's okay.
Takes OP.
You're talking about passionate, and I'm really, really passionate against having aim assist on any vehicles in general. I don't mind it for the infantry gunplay, but because you got it on tanks, you got it on stationary weapons like AT guns, and you even have it. And this is the most annoying one for me, because if it was not there, I can't tell you how many times this screws me over in game. Putting aim assist on the light machine gun emplacements, or the heavy machine gun emplacements. I'm trying to lead someone because I need to, because they're moving, and aim assist actively prevents me from leading that player. So because aim assist is there, I actually miss.
Yeah, it's not. It's the aim assist is refined for gunplay, and then they just copy and paste that aim assist into vehicles, into stationary weapons. And that's actually getting in the way. It's not like they went in and created separate aim assist that makes sense for each thing, like for planes, for tanks, for whatever. I think they just copied and pasted the same code.
I get that, but it's something like vehicles and emplacements and whatever. I feel like there's supposed to be a higher level of skill there involved than somebody just running around, running and gunning. That's fine. There should be a learning curve with those emplacements and those vehicles. So that's why I feel like that shouldn't be there.
Okay, so overall, would you say, as a whole, would you say tanks need buffed, nerfed, or leave them alone?
Nerf.
Echo?
Nerf. Oh, we just threw it out there as quick as possible. They need nerf.
But on top of the aim assist thing, I don't think tanks should be able. The driver should not be able to repair the tank while inside of it. He should have to get out and repair it.
So that's a nerf.
The whole quick
That would be
repair feature and just repairing it in general from inside the tank. Not only
Somebody in the chat said make the frag grenades do maybe 5% more damage than they currently do on a tank. I mean, we got reduction of grenades now. If you you ever throw a stick grenade or a frag grenade at a tank, 5%. Oh God,
I mean, since we don't
it's like
have
I could have thrown a marshmallow.
Yeah,
Right.
so I guess you're right, Mambo, because since the frags are less frequent, and I gotta say the update with the whole grenades, awesome.
Yeah,
Like
I love it.
You don't feel like you're getting cheesed on anymore. They give you an opportunity to actually escape a grenade unless it was thrown with precise skill, you know. So now that there's less grenades, maybe they can up a little damage against tanks with simple grenade or something. It's not like we're asking for a lot here. I don't think it's gonna change the meta by a lot, but it might be a decent little tip towards the infantry.
So synopsis is a nerf, but the nerf needs to be toward teamwork nerf, not necessarily a nerf that makes the vehicles not a viable killer on the battlefield. So Arkilla says, why does everybody hate vehicles? It's what makes Battlefield. I agree with you on that totally 100%. But when somebody camps in a vehicle, make them move that vehicle. Let them get less points. I think we talked about that last time, camping up on a hill to try to defend a flag. Well, then they should get less points if they're not moving their vehicle over 5 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, they don't need to nerf the effectiveness of the tanks, but they need to make them harder to use. So you need to be a good tank driver to get good kills, to get good scores, and they need to be easier to take out. So it takes some sort of skill to actually use it versus just sitting on top of a mountain and instantly repairing yourself as soon as you get damaged. But they should for sure be effective. I mean, it is a tank. It does need to be, a very powerful machine, but it needs to have counters, and they shouldn't have quick revive.
Flag, you're a historian. You know how much they got stuck in the mud, right? So
well, yeah, but it's something, and Arkilla in chat is saying, tanks are a big part of a battlefield, and I totally agree. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with them, and he's talking about having them get out of the tank and stuff. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, I forgot what that was like in Battlefield 4, because
you had to hightail it and then
you did. And so there was again a
that
higher
repair
curve.
tool, right? That spark.
Yeah, and
repair.
It's something by throwing in things, and I think we need to recognize too, by throwing in things like quick repair, they one of the main reasons the support class is pretty much useless is quick repair. And I mean, it's something like I love playing engineer in Battlefield 4 and repairing the tanks and being there to do that and helping them with that. And you know what, though? In Battlefield 1, I never equipped the wrench because I have no reason to.
Listen. I know you feel that way, but you need to give it a shot. Because I've played a few rounds of like when Frontlines came out, really playing the wrench, man. Just helping out my teammates, making sure the tanks are going. And I've won a lot of Frontline matches just based on the fact that we had reps where the other team had none.
Well, and I was going to say, I think
good. It is good, but it's underused.
Do that more when/if the updates that were pushed through on the CTE come to vanilla, where you can repair emplacements. Like at that point, I will have, that wrench all the time, and it'll definitely be used more because for me, it'll have a purpose.
It does need more uses,
I will definitely give it a go next time.
Let me throw in two things we haven't mentioned. And when Mambo, when you posed the question, being a good teacher that I am, I did my homework. I posed two other things of like nerf ideas because I feel like FOV slider is a bit much. It's a bit much for a tank outside view because you try to sneak up on a tank with a dynamite. You try to sneak up on a tank with a limpet with an FOV that can see so much. It's darn.
I can see around corners.
Yes, it's darn near impossible. And I think there should be a set FOV for vehicles. That's my perspective. I don't know if that's a popular idea because, PC people, they're going to flip.
I see where you're coming from, but I like the FOV slider. I mean,
I have never
too
liked
powerful.
third-person cameras for vehicles.
neither have
I don't like them third person either, but it's too powerful, man.
I don't mind the FOV slider, but maybe they could just remove the third person camera. I mean, it's not realistic whatsoever. I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense at all.
Especially for World War One. Like you could say, okay, maybe on the Char 2C, technically from a historical perspective, you can see the 360
Yes.
kind of thing, but it's like on an FT-17, no, you have a little slit that's like this big that you can see out the front of.
I think they
And
do it
that's
for fun of the game, you know, because it wouldn't be fun to drive something because we're so used to playing driving games like Need for Speed and all these things like Gran Turismo. Then you're playing that third-person view. No one plays on the inside so much. Like very few people. Hardcore people would do the whole wheel and everything else.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here saying this, and I'm remembering now. If I was serious about it, I mean, DICE did give us the option. If we run a custom server, we can turn that off.
That is
like
true.
we can turn off third-person vehicle camera.
But then you have no one joining your server because you're a custom server.
How about
That's
this?
true.
They can only see in third person of somebody else's in certain seats in their tank. So say, for instance, if you got a person on your right side of your tank and you're in the front driving, then you can only see that quarter part of the tank, around the tank. You can't see full 360. Once you got a full tank, then you could see full 360.
But
Something
what would
like
the
that.
HUD be like for that? You know, it'd be like a blank HUD.
Would you like switch to different people's perspectives?
No,
I
the
don't know
field
how that
view
would-
just shows you that side. It doesn't show you the full 360 when you're in third person. I don't know.
You know, I
Something.
just think it's a little OP. It's like a tool no one mentions. The FOV slider is extremely powerful, and especially for vehicles, because you know the only thing that deals decent damage to vehicles is things that you get up close. High risk, high reward. But the risk is so much higher than the reward actually ends up being because dynamite doesn't go far. It doesn't stick.
It should be sticky.
Limpet sticks, but you can't throw it far. And so the tank sees you coming half the time.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you
before
know
get
in
there.
Battlefield 4 they were actually toying around with the idea of making it third and first person? Luckily they didn't, but just throwing that out there. They actually were thinking about making like Star Wars Battlefront where you could switch between the two.
But like during its conception or during like later
During
on for
like
fun?
its conception. It
Wow.
didn't actually make it into the game though.
That'd be weird.
luckily.
I don't think I would like that.
Neither would I.
Chat, would you like that? A third-person Battlefield?
I hated it in Battlefront.
No.
It gets a little cheesy when you can hide behind a corner and see people
And you can
coming
see
they
around.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've been watching a lot of PUBG lately. Like, I don't play it. I find it fascinating to watch. Like,
Yeah.
it is
It's really
great
fun.
entertainment to watch. But
Everyone's saying
Yeah,
no,
what-
by the way.
playing Battlefield in third person to me would just be really, really silly. You know, especially everybody. You got plenty of people out there who are like, Battlefield's not realistic. You know, blah blah blah. You know, putting it in third person. You know, I think there's a time and a place for third person shooters, but Battlefield is not one of them.
Right. Okay. So we as a whole agree tanks need a slight tweak, not necessarily
Yeah.
a nerf, but
I say
maybe a
nerf.
teamwork penalty nerf.
I
Like,
say
you
a
need
big
more-
slap on nerf.
Yeah.
Nerf them.
Nerf them
Okay,
a little
so-
bit. I definitely liked. I didn't even think of that. And as obviously you throw the topic, so you have that Mambo. When you said that the gunners should be more effective and the drivers should be a little less effective, focus on teamwork. It's good stuff. You know, I think those are the results that everybody would like on the battlefield. You know, so I agree. Can
teamwork
we-
makes the dream work. Yep.
There you go, Snoop Dogg. So I think we're about ready to transition to our last topic, and that's the topic I chose. It's how can DICE better inform the players of any future updates? And I'm just gonna throw out a quick reminder to you guys watching live right now. We are going to do a chat session, which basically we will answer your questions, your feedback, your suggestions, and we'll have a discussion, all of us with you. So prep those questions while we do this next segment. So let me just preface the segment for all you guys. The reason I decided to talk about this, because I get this question constantly in the chat. Like, hey, what happened to the settings? Hey, this new update came out. And for those of you guys who don't know, the spring update defaulted your sensitivity settings on consoles to dead zone default to 25, and then you had 100 and all these other dead zone stuff. So they went in and they changed. It's an axial dead zone. How much does it register? And there's a circular dead zone like the center one. And because they changed all these things and defaulted, I get people coming in the chat saying, yo, I don't like this new update. It doesn't feel right, you know? And it doesn't feel right because your control's been changed. You didn't even know it. And I made a YouTube video about it. I've seen some people talk about it. There's not a lot of console, besides Flak and Izzy and maybe Broken Machine, right? There's not a lot of console-centered people who might give you that information. I know Westy doesn't play console. So I'm thinking, why does it fall to the YouTubers, to Twitch streamers to explain these things to you? Because I think there has to be a better way. What do you guys think?
Well, they talk about it on the official Battlefield podcast that they do on Twitch. But of course, they always publish it in their blog and on the forums and stuff. The problem is that the average player isn't engaged enough to go and look up patch notes and then read these long lists, which is why they then turn to YouTubers to break down the important stuff and give it to them in a quick 5-minute video. Because the average person isn't going to go through pages and pages of notes. They just don't want to do it.
I'm 100% with you on that, Izzy. And the other issue is, you know, and we could sit here and, you know, we're all media creating people. We could say, well, why don't they just, you know, do a video on it and whatever? And it's like, same thing. You know, people are not engaged enough to actually sit and watch that video. They'll skip it. They'll be like, what the heck is this? You know, skip. Because that's what they do. You know, I think if DICE is going to push out updates and changes to things and whatever, they need to make sure that it preserves the settings that somebody has. You know, and I get that from
they did not preserve them.
But it hasn't
programming perspective. It's probably difficult. It is really hard to do. Like there's no getting around it when you make these kinds of changes and you reset that kind of stuff. You know, but when I started playing on PC, like I had to go into my Xbox menu for Battlefield and figure out what my FOV settings were and like all these other settings so I could get the same controls on the PC that I had on the Xbox One. And it's like, that's information like I don't know off the top of my head. And if you changed it, I would have no idea. I would have to go and just keep fiddling around with things until either like my hand-eye coordination got used to the new settings, or I kind of figured out a setting that was similar to what I had before. And it's even then, annoying. It's a pain in the butt to go from settings that are slightly different to your original settings, you know, so.
Okay, I got an idea. You know how you ever get messages on your inbox or on your Twitch that you have so many new icons, like a 1 or a 2 or 3 new messages and you haven't read? Put an icon next to every item that was saved in your game data that has changed since the last patch. So if this changed, an icon, bam. So everything that's changed has an icon next to it, like a 1. Like, why did this change?
You know, I thought about this idea, and we're on the same page because I introduced the topic. I did some thinking about this, and mine was very similar to Mambo says. Is what if you update? This new spring update came with some things, and it didn't change every single way the options work, but some of them did change. Next to the ones that it did change, put a little new, or put a little 1, like an update. 1 might not be the craziest, but I get what you're saying. You're saying the same thing exactly as I did.
Kind of like in Battlefield 4 when you had a new attachment or a new camo, it would pop up with that icon on the customization screen.
Okay, but in this case, say it would be the dead zone, right? And right now, if you don't know what axial dead zone is, you get a little explanation in shorthand on the right, but even that explanation makes you kind of wonder,
That's a good idea.
So you have the option, it'll say new, and if you go and hover over the new, maybe a video explaining something, maybe a YouTuber's video explaining what that is.
That would give content creators a chance to get in the game, yeah.
Going back to
contract the YouTuber for a 2-minute video and explain it to them. Hey,
well,
Flak,
for the whole patch notes things, you know how when you log on to the Battlefield 1 menu, they have like creator videos there from Level Cap and Westy and Flakfire and stuff?
And Flakfire.
When they do an update, when you first log on to the game, the patch note videos that the YouTubers make should be right there. One of the big YouTubers who have broken it down, it should be right there for everyone to find. Or even when you first start the game, it'll go, update, watch video to see what's changed. And you click on it and it plays the video.
Yeah,
Having that might be a good idea.
Those videos are a hit or miss, because sometimes you get a video which is great, and then you get a video. I was watching a Jack Frags video. I don't know. I just clicked on a thing. I was like, Jack Frags video, right? And he's like, oh, just playing, and it wasn't even like it was just play. It was just gameplay. It was like, well, what do I need this video here for gameplay? I'm playing the game. Just play the game. Play the game. You know, it doesn't make sense. But
it's still something though, you know, and we can sit here and say, oh, if we put a little notification over it, which I think is a great idea, you know, especially if it had a little explanation or something on it. It's still something that's requiring, like, I have to talk like a communication professor because I am, but that's something that most people are not going to be that involved to read. Again, is what it comes back to.
If it's
like,
flashy and it says new, they'll understand there's a change.
You would be amazed at the amount of people who understand absolutely nothing with their UI. Like when they go in there and they look at the options, they're like, I have no idea what any of this is. Like if you put a button over it and you tell them it changed, they're like, I still have no idea what any of this is.
Well,
like,
you could say previous setting was this, new default setting this. That you had in your data, so they could change it back to the way it was before.
Yes,
maybe
that is exactly what I would like to see, or if they could figure out a way where it would preserve the original settings. Like that seems like it's a programming issue and is probably not easy to do.
Well, to be fair, they're doing better. Remember the Battlefield 4 days? Whenever an update would come out, your whole like kit would be
your
default.
loadouts, everything would be reset.
Would default. Now they don't do that. But they do mess with some of the settings, and like you guys said, you know, I'm echoing what you guys are saying, because it is true. I don't want them to change things, but we need to get people within the game UI. We need to get people informed on what changes are being made, what these options do, rather than these shorthand little descriptions which just confuse people.
Who's the community manager for Battlefield 1 now? Does anybody know?
Jeff,
he's the main community manager for Battlefield? I know Sledgehammer 70s for Star Wars and for Titanfall. Yeah, I didn't know Jeff. I don't know Jeff personally.
Jeff Braddock, he's always on the live streams. Pretty much always on. Or Dan Mitri is on the live streams.
Dan Mitri, yeah.
Now, like Izzy said, I mean, they do the live streams and they do inform people what's going on there. But I feel like in the live streams, they don't address consoles much. They did not talk about any of the sensitivity changes.
Nothing.
They reduced acceleration. Now you can have non-accelerated aim, which is important.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I've been like, what the heck? Why did my aim go all the way over to the left side of the screen so fast?
Dude, I turned that thing off and I set my BF4 settings back on BF1, and it feels like I'm playing BF4.
Yeah, and a lot of people have asked for that, and I was really happy to see that they put that back in there. I haven't played with it yet. I'm excited to, but you know, and in the defense of Jeff and Dan and DICE in general, like you guys said it, but they are doing a much better job with Battlefield 1 with informing
a lot better
than what they had done in previous things. Like, is there still a lot of things that could be done? Yeah. Is it easy? No. I mean,
but it's good to see they're improving.
Yes,
and it's not an easy thing to do.
Trying to get that message across to a lot of people is really difficult. I mean, we're doing.
Well, that's why we're here
online streams of things and explaining the update and doing all that kind of stuff, which unfortunately still reaches a small percentage of the actual Battlefield 1 population. So
that's the thing. So here's the thing: like this podcast is to make the game better and is to give those guys the ideas. You know, the stream is great, but like you said, it addresses a small percentage of the population that plays Battlefield. But if you build things into the UI, you'll be addressing the majority of the population, and that is time and money and effort well spent. You see what I'm saying? So they're doing these things. They're making good posts on battle logs, the good posts on their Reddit pages, I believe. You know, on their forums, they're making the stream, but maybe they're not putting the efforts or time where it can make a bigger impact. And so I think if they're working through different changes in the UI, they might see way more benefit from it, from the whole population. Working things into the UI is way more important than, you know, making sure that there's a tweet about it or something, you know?
Right. It's easier.
Yeah. Put that thing in front of the player's face and you'll be more sure that they've at least seen it. Maybe they can understand it. And I really think that, you know, like Mambo said, the little notification thing, put a little new snap next to it in a menu, and then the person would browse through it, you know, and be like, whoa, what's new here? And then go find the options new, and then highlight it, and then a video comes up, Flakfire, boom, you're explaining, hey, Axial Dead Zone, hey, did you know Axial Dead Zone is this and that? And then you explain it in 2 minutes. Probably doesn't take more than that if you make a really good video, like, you know, with some good instruction there. And then they get an actual person explaining it to them rather than like some sort of worded weird thing.
At least if you give them the opportunity to see it, if you put it in front of them, then, you know, from DICE's perspective, you've done your job, right? You know, not everybody's going to read it and look at it, but at least you can say, hey, we put it in front of them. If they didn't read it, it's their own damn fault.
Who told anybody at DICE to put acceleration in the game? First off, I don't see that needing to be in the game whatsoever.
It's horrible. Acceleration is never good. Like, nobody asks for more acceleration. No one's like, hey, you know what this game needs? More acceleration. Yeah.
Right.
Dude, if you need to accelerate more, increase your sensitivity.
Yeah, acceleration is not a good thing.
Well, here's the thing. Acceleration is supposed to be more accessible. That's why, like, every single FPS game on console does it. Just Battlefield 4 was the only game that had no aim acceleration.
It was awesome.
Call of Duty had it. Halo had it. Rainbow Six Siege even now has it.
But you can disable it in Siege.
You can? I should go ahead and do that. I didn't know that.
That drives me bonkers.
That does drive me bonkers. Dang, I have to revisit that and play it with that off because it's terrible. Aim acceleration.
It needs to be one-to-one movement. That's where you go. Not because I move faster, it moved further. No.
Yeah, it makes it inconsistent. So being accurate becomes hard.
You can get used to the algorithm, the way it works. You can,
it's just,
but it's not the greatest.
No,
and trust
I got
me,
potato aim bad enough. I don't need any help.
And the Battlefield community does not want to do 720 no scopes. We don't do that, right?
Hey, big for kidding.
Yeah, all right. Awesome, guys. Great discussion as always. And I feel like we gave some ideas to DICE, and we brought in some good topics here from each of the things. In case you missed it, you can watch the recording always on Flak's channel or Izzy if he posts it up. Once in a while, they both post these up on their YouTube channels. Go ahead and subscribe there. I'm going to open up the podcast to viewer questions. We're going to open it up with a question we got in the mail. But before I do so, let me just remind everybody watching the recording, or if you're live, if you want to go onto our iTunes page and rate us, that would be pretty awesome. I'm quite amazed how much support we're getting for this podcast through YouTube, through iTunes, and through streaming it here on Twitch. So I do remind you guys, leave us a rating there on iTunes. You can find our iTunes page just by searching Let's Talk Battlefield. Or if you just type in Battlefield, you'll see the Let's Talk logo. The other thing I would like to say is if you're watching the recording, you can send us your question towards the Let's Talk podcast at gmail.com. The Let's Talk podcast at gmail.com. And we're going to do live questions, so prep your topics, guys. The way it works, if you're watching live, put at crew or at cast if you want to ask all of us a specific question, or put at one of us. You see our usernames are here: Izzy Gone Crazy, Echo Limits, Mambo_B, or Flakfire. We're all in the live chat as well, so we'll be able to see the highlight. All right, so the question that we got in the mail was from I Am Too Dope Gaming, and it says, hello, this is I Am Too Dope. My question is, and this one's supposed to be done very quickly, there's instructions here, guys, which is more important? Yeah, which is more important, defending a captured flag or capturing an enemy flag in Conquest? So really fast, Flag, defending or capturing flags in Conquest, more important?
It's hard for me because I love
That's
both
not a
of them.
fast
Like,
answer.
I'm sorry, like capturing the flag is a lot of fun. At the same point, defending the flag is a lot of fun. I don't care as long as there's an objective.
All right, Mambo,
Defending.
Izzy.
It completely depends on how many flags you already have. If you have more flags than them, I say hold them and just bleed the tickets. If you don't, if they have more flags than you, then go attack and cap the flags.
It's a loaded question.
All right, and for me, I would say capture the flag, man. It's too much fun. I love just pushing. And the last thing he said, like he wanted us to do this real quick without thinking, and because then we're supposed to elaborate, say and why. So why? Let's start with myself. We'll go back around or something. Why I think capturing flags is, for those of you guys who don't know how Conquest works, you get more points for capping flags than defending, than holding a flag. You get a bonus for getting a flag, right? The way it's not a ticket draining system. It's a ticket giving system, something like that, like points giving. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think capturing flags. That's what I would say. What about you guys?
I've gotten to extra points for defending.
Nah, but not. I'm talking about the ticket count, the point count for the top, not the, your individual score.
Yeah, I always see the defending at the end of the round highlights. I'm always like first squad defense more than I am first squad offense. So I think it's easier to get in a tank or a car and run from objective to objective in Conquest, if you're a Conquest player, to capture flags and be a vehicle, lady, or or stay and defend. And it's harder to defend against incoming tanks than it is. I think it's more of a challenge to defend. That's why I like doing it. I like the challenge.
Black is pleading the fifth on that one. He's either or.
He's too tired.
It's really like okay. If I had to pick one that was more fun, I would say capping is more fun. And there's just something about being there, and I mean, because really you get there and then you need to defend it while you cap it. So it's like a twofer.
Right.
Get it, Izzy.
I agree with Flack. That makes sense. Attack it and then defend it. You get both at once.
All right, awesome. So, do we have a question in the chat? Yes, we do. We got Little Jakey asked the cast, is there any guns that are OP? If so, what should they do to nerf the gun/guns? Do you guys get a feeling that a gun is OP in this game?
Not really.
The one they brought out, Hellregal?
That's
the
not
defensive, dude. The new Hellrigger has.
I didn't.
So much recoil. It's
no.
Not
You're talking about the
overpowered.
regular Hellrigger?
The regular Hellregal is more powerful than the defensive one.
Oh yeah, because the recoil is too crazy on the defensive. It's ridiculous.
If you'd asked me like 3 months ago, I think everybody in their right mind would have said Automatico, but it's still that gun has been really, really nerfed like into the ground since it came out.
They diced it.
They diced it. That's the thing now.
I really don't see anything that I'm like, wow, this weapon is really, really OP. On the flip side, I would say there are a lot of guns that definitely need a nerf or a buff, and most of those are in the support category.
I do see a lot of people saying Calibri 2 OP.
Dude, have you seen what me and Echo can do with that freaking Benet Merci or whatever it's called?
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, Benet Merci and the Shosha are like the only support guns that are worth anything, in my opinion.
I do not like the show shot. I don't.
Really?
It is so
that weapon.
good.
It's awesome.
Dude, it's a 2-shot kill, bro.
Machine.
That thing, bing bang, you're dead.
But it feels like it misses bullets all the time. I feel like I'm in an Australian server.
It does.
It's the Shosha, mate.
I don't know, but I don't feel like Hellrigger is great, but it's got its range. That it's minimal effectiveness.
And you can't mount a bayonet on it, which is a big deal for me.
Bayonet
is a big deal.
Bayonet patch incoming.
Right. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
I think it's fine, actually. Like I'm totally fine with it.
Episode 10.
This summer,
I would have preferred
the bayonet gets patched.
that they
reactions.
nerfed the distance you could bayonet charge instead of some of the other changes. But some of the things that I've seen are like, yeah, those are all great. Like, I love the bayonet charge. It's not going to stop me from bayoneting people, and I'm still going to do it and be
So
be good at it.
The
Technically,
elites are going to be OP, no bayonet.
wait. Technically, the bayonet is a weapon, and so bayonet might be the most OP weapon.
It's a one-hit kill every time.
Yep.
That is true.
Have you ever gotten a kill and not did the bayonet animation?
Yes,
I had it happen
yes.
again.
Yeah,
You can
I
just slap
bumped into
someone
someone.
with
Kinda where you're
bayonet.
I'm standing
Just
here, I
run
can shoot
over
other
them.
people, but I got the bayonet kill. Whoa.
Oh, I've also been on the receiving end of that, and then you just want to rage and throw stuff.
I don't even rage. I just like burst out laughing. It is hilarious to me because it's literally like you just put your head to theirs and just like you just win. Like force overcomes everything.
All right, we have another question. This one is from the White Little Code. Says, Cast, what could they do in Conquer Hell on operations on the first objectives to give the defenders to at least distract the behemoths so it doesn't just rack up kills? Conquer Hell.
The behemoth, they don't get a behemoth on the first.
They could if they lost. Conquer Hell.
Right.
Wait, why am I blanking here?
Conquer Hell doesn't get a behemoth, does it? Oh, you're talking about the one with Ballroom Blitz and Argonne Forest.
Yeah.
Ah,
They
need a little bit more air cover, like a trench that you could get into that has more cover.
No, they're
like
talking
some
about
of those
the first
wood pallets on
objectives.
some of those trenches would be good.
No, the first objectives. If you lose the first objectives and then you get the blimp, there's absolutely no AA that can shoot you down, and the blimp just shoots people down.
Like crazy.
Yes, and
Okay.
I think he's talking about the fact that there's absolutely no vehicle you can spawn to counter that, so you can't even get an AA truck and pretend like you're gonna do something. There's no
Can't get in a
AA,
plane?
nothing. You just take the L.
Right.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's the first objective. If you were strong enough as a defensive team to hold them back, you're gonna have to take the L on that one and just move back and let them take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Retreat.
That's something I haven't played operations that much, but from my recollection of the map, there is a really good anti-aircraft gun that nobody ever uses against the blimp, and for whatever reason, I don't know why.
There's like
it is
three
like
of them.
the heavy machine guns. You would be
Oh,
amazed.
yes.
You can sit on those things and just shred that blimp.
You
Yep.
really
And
can quickly.
The HMG
like
is
nobody
too
does it.
powerful.
Everybody's like
Where's
wanting
this
to get
at?
on the AA gun, and
No,
I'm like,
the heavy
where's the
machine
heavy
gun.
machine gun?
And actually,
You're talking about San
shreds
Quentin Scar?
blimps. No,
You're talking about
whatever,
San Quentin
whatever. If you're on Monte Grappa, if you're on a Ballroom Blitz, you can get into certain HMGs, the heavy machine guns emplacements that can angle and see the blimp. There's sometimes limitations on moving, but they totally shred the blimp. It is true.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
See?
And-
I learned
and-
something new.
Yo, we got another
their
question.
cooldown is really quick, and
Yeah.
everything. They are great. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, you can rack up thousands of points on that thing. If nobody bothers you, you rack up thousands.
And usually
of
no
points.
one can bother you because they're placed way in the back.
Yes.
We got a
Wow.
question from Knack819 says, Cast, I am located in the Middle East. All my friends are Dutch. After Netcode changed it, it's impossible now to squad up with friends. Why DICE thought that nobody have friends in another region? It's not that they didn't think that no one has friends in that region. We did talk about this in the beginning of the podcast in depth. Netcode, you're probably going to have to catch a recording to hear that major discussion, but we'll just quickly, 1 minute answers, just what do you guys think? Because we did touch upon this topic. I don't want to dwell on it.
I think
answer
that sucks.
NQ.
I mean, for people like him, and that's the downside of doing this kind of thing, where you say, okay, we're going to try and improve the experience for everyone else, and a few people on the outside, unfortunately, really lose out. And it sounds like he's in that position.
Mhm.
Y'all might try and see maybe if you can find a server region where you both get decent enough connections.
Right.
At the same point, like, it's something like you're in where did he say
Middle
it was?
East. He said Middle East.
Middle East and Dutch. I mean,
That's
that's
not that far.
it's not, but it's still gonna,
Right.
you have to be realistic about the fact that you probably will have an issue if you try and play that. And I mean, I get it. It sucks. At the same point, DICE is trying to make it better for the majority of the players. And
yeah, so I think you did hit it on the nail, Knack. I would say is the idea is this: your Dutch friends are now having a way better experience playing Battlefield. No lie.
Yeah.
We've all discussed that the improvement to netcode within your own region is amazing. Now, your friends, say you have 5 friends and you're the one guy. So now 5 people had an improved experience and you're the one guy who doesn't. I think that's a trade-off that DICE was willing to make. And just to have that to grow the community or grow the game and continue supporting the game in that way. I think Flak gave you a great idea too. Like, try to see if there's a server that you can meet halfway,
Well, in the podcast, we mentioned that maybe they do away with that setting if you got a private server, something like that. So that was what we talked about in the podcast. So you can check out.
That'd be great too, if you can. But, the issues with private servers still remains that they're not being populated if they're not official server rules, because DICE doesn't want to change up that whole experience. So when you're playing Battlefield 1 server, you go to another server, they want the experience to be the same, a Battlefield game, rather than different. But if they made that a server option, I think that's the way to go.
Right. Raw 0414 says, Cast, why is it when I start shooting, then the guy turns around and we trade kill? What is going on? Sometimes I don't think we realize that we're getting fired on by more than one guy. And then that the bullets don't just die when they die or you die. So you're seeing some trade kills now. We talked about that in the podcast. And you're getting focus fired on by more than one person that you don't see the other person shooting you. So you need to take that into account. More than one person is shooting you. I mentioned today when I was streaming today, I shot a guy and then instantly somebody else shot him, but they got the kill because I got the assist counts as kill. And I know that person probably thought, dude, I just got one-shotted by a guy. How did that happen? Probably because you're getting focus fired.
Yeah, plus like maybe a sniper hit you at the same time that you hit him.
Yeah, I was a sniper. I hit a guy, and then somebody shoots him with a pistol, and he instantly dies. He's probably like livid. Like,
he just
how
got
does this
one
guy
shot
one
by
shot?
a pistol? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
There's a good question in the chat here because we like to talk about this. Little Jakey says, Cast, are there any gadgets, limpets, flares, dynamite, etc. that need a buff? And I am firmly in the camp of flares need a counter.
Yes, in a very bad kind of way.
You need to be throw the smoke on the thing, right? Remember we discussed that once. I think
we've talked
we would
about
say
that.
that would be a good
Water
character.
balloons. Okay, just joking. Kappa.
I mean, if it worked.
If it worked.
Pour out your canteen. I mean, something.
Yeah, you know what? The dynamite, I'd like this little buff. Throw that a little bit more.
It should be sticky.
Nah, I understand why it's not sticky. They don't want car bombs.
But those are
What
fun.
is this?
I
Save
know
it,
they're
Private
fun.
Ryan.
And
I want to do some horse
Ryan, where they
stuff.
stick they put it, dip it in axle grease and stick it on the side of the tank.
They'll put it inside of a sock, then like cover it in grease.
Dip it in grease.
there you go.
Stick it on
Make it
those
sticky.
wheels.
Listen, I don't know where this is going, but I would like just on a serious note, throw it a little farther. I think.
I like the limpet. I think the limpet should be able to throw further.
The limpet
I
is
throw a limpet
very
and the
powerful.
thing lands
It's
in
way
front of my
more
feet.
powerful
I'm
than
like, what?
dynamite.
That
I
I
don't
do
know.
think that the dynamite should you should be able to throw it a little bit further because it's like IRL, I could chuck that thing pretty far, like
At least as far as a stick grenade, you should be able to throw it as far as a stick grenade.
I
Oh
wouldn't agree
my
with that.
goodness, that'd
maybe
be ridiculous.
not that far because then I can just see people being like
Yeah, that
Trolling.
would be awful.
just doing that like halfway across the map,
Right.
like looking up in the air and throwing it. Yeah,
Alright,
that would be a little bit too much.
We had another one, Arkilla. This is a little bit way back, and I just highlighted, so I don't want to miss anybody's questions. Cast, what improvements, if any, do you think it should be made to the assault class? I feel like it is somewhat effective, but not completely living up to its true purpose. Assault class needs improvement, guys? I don't think so.
Huh?
I think
I
it's
wouldn't say.
fine.
I think it's okay.
My only beef was the
Dynamite, right?
and
Yeah.
no the thing that I used to do before it got nerfed. I mean, like I would play an assault like a proper stormtrooper would, which was with a lot of grenades, and trying to get up in close. And what I would do, I would have 2 of the mini grenades and 2 of the anti-tank grenades, and would just rain terror upon anything that got in my path. And then they nerfed the mini grenades, and they reduced the count to 1, for the mini grenades. And
What?
That's
the mini
really.
grenade is just 1 now?
Yes, it serves no purpose.
That's a weak grenade.
No purpose.
I don't think I've died that many times to a mini grenade that constitutes the point where I'm like, dice nerf, please. It's not like you guys remember the V minis for the BF4?
Oh man, the mini nukes?
They called the mini nukes?
Yeah. Those were awful.
Battlefield 4, those V minis would even destroy walls when they first came out.
Yeah. And see, they made a couple changes to the assault class that maybe some people didn't like. At the same point, I play assault most of the time. I'm totally fine with it. Like a 10% reduction of damage to infantry from the large anti-tank grenades. That was something that they put through, and I haven't really even noticed it that much. I generally try to save those for vehicles and whatnot. Yeah. But the change to the mini grenade really made me sad. So that's the only thing I could say. Man, that could use a buff. But still, for me personally, if any class needs a buff, it's support.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Support.
I would like to see a buff to the wrench, like you said. Like they're buffing it and making sure that it can actually rep things on the battlefield from it being broken, completely busted. That's cool. I'd like to see that. Sure. We have another question. This one's from Skip. Says Cast, what about blocking the underneath part of on the center point on Verdun Heights front lines? Underneath. Oh, I know what you mean. Inside the underneath the church, the ruin.
The church, yeah.
Everyone's in there.
I love that area. That is like where some of the best combat on that map happens. Is trying to get in there.
That's
you
the
gotta
choke
get in
point.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it.
I like it. Mambo.
It does make for the vertical gameplay battle. You got people trying to capture the flag on top of the item, and then people down inside of the underneath. It makes for interesting, dynamic fights. I like it.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go in and fill that.
Especially since it can be captured from above that cellar. Like if it was just, you all just had to run into that cellar and try and hold that.
That would be horrible.
It would be grenades everywhere. Like it would be horrible. Yeah. But the fact that you can have like an entire squad of enemy in the cellar while you have an entire squad of friendly up top, I think is really, really fun. Because then you have to decide, am I going to try and force them out of there? Are they going to come out there and come get us up here? Like, it's a great part of the map.
Right.
The only annoying part is when the gas grenades bleed underneath and above, through the ground. I don't think the gas grenades should do that, but that's a discussion we've had before.
Right.
We had a question about Priest of Tahur. So the new map, and this is from Almighty Ben. He's saying late summer. For Russian DLC release on that as well, but Priest of Tahur, like any thoughts on it so far?
I like that there's 2 night maps, so operations at night.
I'm hoping for that. That would be really cool.
I would like to see that.
My thoughts is it going to be free for all, or is it going to be behind the paywall? They kind of they didn't come out and say it was premium only map.
Shadow for free?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they'll release it for free then, if it's not part of premium.
But did they confirm Novell Knights is free?
No. They first said it was premium, right?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't know if this new priest, the Tahur. How do you say it, Flakfire?
It's one of those things like nobody really knows how to say it because the village officially died for France in 1918. So. Wow. It doesn't really exist anymore.
Wow.
There's another village nearby it got renamed. But anyway, yeah, I have no idea. I'm just saying Tahur because I feel like that's how it would be said in French, but I am not French.
Well,
Yeah, I hope it's free. I hope it's free for everybody because I'm all for free.
I hope that at the very most that they make it like 2-week early access for premium. I could see them doing that.
That would be nice.
And then everybody gets it for free, and we also get server browsers for operations. You know, throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Good vibes. You know.
Right.
I think that would be the way to do it. Little J. JK says, Cass, what class do you think is the worst, and why do you think that? Worst. Medic. I hate the guns. Man.
I have to use the sweeper if I want to push as a medic.
I even hate the sweeper.
I wreck with the sweeper, but you need to, yeah, it's tough.
I think the medic's guns are too inaccurate.
Yeah.
Precisely why I hate them.
I still don't know why medics got the weapons they have. I don't think they should have the single fire DMR style of weapons, because theoretically those are the guys on the front line saving everyone who's going down. They should have like SMGs or something. I think it would fit their role better than long range weapons.
Well,
or medium to long range weapons.
I think the reason they don't
Maybe
have
they
the
should have
SMGs
shotguns instead of assault, something like that, because you know the medic is the guy running up there to save everybody. He's not going to be able to do his job if he's, you know, behind everyone else.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's supposed to be behind everyone else. So to
But
save
how can he
people-
revive people then?
Well, I mean, you're behind them, not like in front of them, being the first man charging in. You know?
No, but not the first man charging in, but he's still going to be like in the thick of things.
Yeah. The thing is I know that DICE has always had that mantra where the class that can destroy vehicles is the class that has limited range weapons just for balance purposes. So that you're not the best at everything. So that's why they would not give DMRs to assault. Then
Or-
support would have DMRs, and that'd be weird.
Give support DMRs and give medics LMGs, like it was in Bad Company.
Or Battlefield 2. Battlefield 2 back in
I
the
think
day
that works better.
had support and the healing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, support. But support was the kit, man. You never ran out of ammo because you had so much of it. And yeah, you could heal yourself, calling mortar strikes. It was OP.
Okay, you want to take the final question, or you want to take a few
Oh
more?
yeah, we have one more question that we can sneak in here. Let's see, do we have a question from the chat? I think there was one. I had to just scroll up. Hold up. Let's see. Someone tried to explain to us how to pronounce it. I really appreciate that, Almighty Ben, but you put things in the quotes and I don't know, man. I can't phonetically sound that out. Cass says, why does so we have one from Raw0414 and asked the cast, why does BF1 take so long on releasing DLCs? Like in BF4 it was quick.
That is a good question, and that kind of goes back to the previous guy's question about like late summer. Why?
Yeah.
I think it probably has to do with the fact that we probably aren't going to get a new Battlefield game in 2017.
Yeah, we're not going to.
I
No.
think that's why they're kind of rationing it there and saying, okay, this will come out, you know, during the summer. At the same point for us,
Oh, you think
like,
they're holding it back just to prolong the game's life?
They definitely are.
I would say they probably are, but at the same point, I do think it really sucks for us. I mean, because I
does.
would have really have liked to have seen that French DLC a lot sooner.
Yeah.
It needed
because
to be released
I
sooner.
think it
That
would
was a
have
long
helped
dry
keep
spell.
people involved with
My
the game.
theory is that
Exactly.
my theory is that the supporting cast is working on Star Wars Battlefront, so they don't have the
That's
extra
also
designers
important.
and coders to help out with Battlefield. So they need more workers.
I don't think that's it. I think they're spreading it out because we're not getting another Battlefield game this year. Like Flack said, they're going to ration it to fill the void because we're not getting a new game this year. So Battlefield 1 is going to have to last us until just the end of towards the end of 2018. And that's a very long
And
time without a
I
new
think
game.
it's a combination of both. I would think that there might be, you know, short on hands staff, you know, just because they are building a whole separate game, you know, and they're putting lots of features in that one.
How long was it before Battlefield 1 came out and Battlefield 4's release?
Well, they had Hardline in there.
Oh, they had a Hardline.
Oh, they had a Hardline, yeah.
Okay, but
See, you know,
but that was a separate studio, right?
that was a
it was
total
Visceral.
separate. That was Visceral.
And
One
DICE
thing
was working on Battlefront. Original one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to bring up, though, I feel anyway that the French DLC was pretty well polished compared to some of the other stuff that we saw for Battlefield 4, for example, or even for Hardline.
I would agree with that.
I feel like the French DLC was done much better. And that could be a pleasant side effect of having them, you know, release a little bit far apart. But, you know, for some of us, it's like, man, we would like some new maps here a little bit sooner rather than later. But, you know, we are getting the occasional map here and there, apparently, with the night maps. So
That's nice. Well, you know, considering we find out whether it's free or not, or what the story with that is, probably soon enough. Maybe we'll even know before the next episode of Let's Talk Battlefield, right? Yo, guys, I think we're gonna end it off here. We strive to not to make these episodes too long because that would be a major download on your front if you're downloading the episodes on iTunes. Remember, you can download the video version or the audio version on iTunes. If you want to watch the video version, you can also watch it on YouTube, on Flakfire's channel, or Izzy. And yeah, you can always watch it live here on twitch.tv, right? I think that about wraps it up for the episode 9, our spring cleaning, spring patch special here. If you enjoyed it, make sure you follow our Twitter page. And you can also check back with us and comment away. Send us that email with any questions, suggestions, comments you had. Any closing thoughts, guys? Anything you got brewing up for future things going on relating Battlefield? I'm going to be streaming it.
We got EA Play coming. You're going to, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's
EA
right.
Play is going to be exciting.
Yeah, and they said they're going to showcase the new DLC at EA Play, so hopefully I'll get a chance. I know I'm personally going, thanks to a lot of you guys, to EA Play, so I'll be trying to make some footage there and showing you guys what Battlefield has in store.
Izzy, you guys going? Flack, you going to EA Play?
I am going to EA Play. For those of you who follow on YouTube, I'm not going to be very active for basically this month because I'm traveling, but on the plus side, part of my travel plans include going to France. I'm going to actually go to Fort de Vaux. I'm going to go to the location where Verdun Heights is located. And since I found out about Priest Tahir, or Tahir, however it's pronounced, you can't go to the actual location where it is because it's a military base. But there is a location nearby that I'm going to go to and do some kind of Battlefield 1 real life mashup type of things there and show you guys what the real world locations look like. So that'll be something in the weeks ahead, but I figured that's pretty cool. So you guys would like to know about that. Awesome.
So you heard it here first. Make sure you're subscribed to Flakfire on YouTube to catch all the videos he's going to be working on. All right, guys. So we're going to do our sign-offs, starting with Izzy.
Guys, it's been awesome as always. If you want to check out some of my videos, it's youtube.com/IzzyGoneCrazy. Thanks for watching the stream.
Awesome. Mambo.
Mambo_B on Twitch TV. Also look up the platoons. I know Flack has a platoon.
Right,
Echo has a platoon. You could join the Mambinos platoon, MVPZ on PlayStation Network. I'll see you guys on the battlefield.
Awesome. Flack.
Yep. If you guys want to find me on YouTube, it's youtube.com/FlakFireGaming. I like doing history-related stuff, so if you're into that, that is the place to be.
Awesome. And as you've heard it here, my name is Eric, but I go by Echo Limits here on twitch.tv/Echo Limits. You can watch the live streams as I play Battlefield and join in and all that fun stuff. And with that, episode 9 is concluded. Hope to see you guys back in 2 weeks for episode 10. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.